the engineering work, the design work, right to the construction of and the building of the pipe itself, the manufacturing of it. This would be Evraz pipe manufactured by good union trades in Regina. We also have, obviously, contractors, subcontractors. We've got about $100 million dedicated already to Indigenous joint ventures and partners to support this project. $40 million on this spread alone, committed to Indigenous contractors and companies to support the project. It's been a journey, as many of you have watched for many years, have watched me get a little bit grayer over the years, but we've persevered. We've been resilient. We've maintained our commitment to this important project. And with the support of the federal government back in 2018, when they acquired ownership of this project, we were able to continue our hard work. This project would not be here today if it weren't for the tremendous support of both the federal and the provincial government, who have encouraged us all along the way, who have reminded us the importance of this project on a national scale, and reminded us this is a project of utmost importance to Canadians of all locations. So we're very proud to be kicking this off on the lands of Treaty 6 and Enoch Cree. My good friend Billy Morin would have been here today, Chief of Enoch. He's in Ottawa with AFN responsibilities, but Enoch has been a great partner all along the way. The project we're building today is not the same project we contemplated building several years ago. We've learned a tremendous amount over the course of the last couple of years, notwithstanding an ownership change. We've learned that there are local interests, there are local concerns that we needed to take care of. We needed to adapt our route. We needed to install different kinds of pipe. We needed to install that pipe in different ways than perhaps traditionally would have been done in some locations to respect some of the local habitat. We now have 57 support agreements with Indigenous communities between Edmonton and Vancouver Island. A year and a half ago, that number was 43. So we've continued our work to build support, to build inclusion, to share the prosperity of this project for everyone living in this great country of ours. Some of the things we've also learned are that we're prepared to invest in some of the best technology, not only to build it, but to monitor it. We will be installing technology, leak detection technology, that will be first of its kind on a project of this scale in the world. We will be using thicker grade pipe in locations where regulations don't tell us we have to, but our standards of performance and our expectations for this asset tell us we should. So we're doing many things to make this the best darn pipeline in the world. And trust me, that's what our objective is. Our objective is to finish this project within the next 30 to 35 months. I've always said it'll take 30 to 36 months to build this project, and we're starting that as we stand here today. So you can do the math on my estimated completion time. But my objective is singular, and it is very focused, and my whole team at Trans Mountain are dedicated to it. Deliver this project safely, no one harmed, no environmental condition harmed, in a commercially viable way, so that my current owner, as they've stated publicly many times, can sell it back to business. And that's their intention, and my intention is to give them an asset that is worthy of that, to get maximum value for it from a future acquisition. So with that, we're excited for today. We'll have some questions a little bit later, and I think what I'd like to do is turn it over to Minister O'Regan to have a few remarks, and he'll be followed by Minister Savage, and then we'll take some questions and answers. Thanks for your time.
Good stuff. Thank you, Ian, Minister Savage, Mayor Iveson, Shane Getson, who impressed everybody on the bus with his knowledge of how this thing works. To all our honored guests, everyone, good afternoon. There's a time-honored tradition, as I've said before, of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians who fly back and forth to Alberta to work in the oil and gas sector, and I am proud to be continuing that tradition. This is the third trip that I've made to this province in less than 2 weeks. It's my third trip since being sworn in as Minister of Natural Resources. And what a day to be here. What a day to be here, to mark such an important milestone in our energy sector. Let me begin by recognizing that we are gathered here on Treaty 6 territory and on the land of the Métis Nation and the Métis settlement of Alberta. Let me also recognize the people who are growing our economy and turning this project from a concept into a reality, the workers. We know that no matter how much people talk about information technology or cloud-based whatever, Canadian prosperity has and will continue to be driven by those who know how to build things. Real things, tangible things, things built by people, helping, in this instance, to move our resources from Alberta to new markets where they are needed. Our government is committed to building a stronger middle class and providing opportunities for Canadians who work hard each and every day to join it. We do know that through projects like TMX, that's how we do it. Projects like TMX, as of late September, TMX has hired more than 2,200 people. 2,200 men and women working hard on this project right now. We know how long you have waited for this day, and we are happy that we're here to share it with you. Today marks the beginning of construction on Spread 1 of the Trans Mountain Expansion Pipeline. It is a project that will help to keep our energy sector strong in the short term by providing good jobs. In the medium term, by getting our oil resources to U.S. markets, by getting our oil resources to new non-U.S. markets, and with that, getting access to better prices. In the long term, by generating millions of dollars in new revenue that will fund technologies and green energy solutions. Solutions that will ensure that Alberta remains an energy leader as we work together to fight climate change. And with the economic opportunities it provides for Indigenous peoples and communities, this project can also be an important step on the path to reconciliation. This is a good day for our energy sector. This is a good day for Alberta. This is a good day for Canada. In fact, it's been a good week. It's been a good week for getting our resources to market, with Line 3 coming into service on the Canadian side of the border. It's important to say that we were able to get to today because, and only because, we did things in the right way every step of the way. Taking the time that we needed to meaningfully consult with Indigenous peoples and ensure that all of the necessary steps were taken to protect the environment. And for that, I want to pay tribute to my predecessor and my friend, Amarjeet Sohi, and thank him for all his hard work in getting us here today. By committing to doing things in the right way, we are seeing pipe on the ground that will soon be in the ground. We look forward to construction beginning on Spread 2 or Section 2 in short order and then continuing along the pipeline route over the next few seasons, as Ian said. With more hard work and goodwill and a continued commitment to getting things done the right way, this pipeline will be completed. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. And now, Minister Savage.
Well, thank you, Ian, and thank you, Minister O'Regan. This is your third trip out, and it's been a real pleasure working with you. And I guess it's less than 2 weeks, but 3 trips in 2 weeks. So, yes, today is a very exciting step forward for Trans Mountain, for our province, and for our country. And it's about time. We're glad we're here now. Today is a step forward for economic growth and prosperity for all of Canada. For far too long, the Trans Mountain expansion project was mired in uncertainty, which makes a celebration like today that much sweeter. Trans Mountain has the support of the majority of Canadians, and it's been approved by the federal cabinet not once, but twice. When operational, this pipeline will result in billions of dollars in revenues, and construction activities will spur thousands of good-paying jobs across all of Canada. And while completion is the one true measure of success, it's important to acknowledge milestones, like this one, that are along the way. Perseverance has gotten us to this point, and I can tell you that nobody has persevered more than Ian Anderson. He's been working on this project for a decade, and before that he worked on the Anchor Loop project, and nobody has been more committed to getting this project across the finish line than Ian Anderson. We owe him a great, great gratitude for getting this through to this point. Our energy industry has endured a lot over the past few years. As many of you may already know, but prior to being appointed Minister of Energy, I worked in the energy sector, worked in the pipeline industry for over 13 years. And over those years, I had a front row seat to witness the many challenges facing Alberta's energy sector. Low prices, closures, layoffs, loss of investor confidence, delays, and attacks on our industry. These are some of the things that Albertans and their families have had to face while waiting for a project like this to move forward. But when others were criticizing our energy industry and the value of pipelines, Albertans did not waver. We stood fast and resilient in the face of opposition. And that's why our government has been tireless in its advocacy for TMX and for standing up for our energy sector. We launched a Yes to TMX campaign. We've been asking for changes to Bill C-69 and C-48 and continue to promote Alberta's reputation as the most ethical and responsible energy producer in the world. It's why I'll continue to engage with the federal government on behalf of Albertans. And to that end, Minister O'Regan and I have already met twice now to discuss Alberta's priorities and challenges. And thank you to him for taking the time to come out to Alberta and to listen to our concerns. I look forward to continuing conversations and working together with him to ensure the success of our energy industry. So tomorrow, we'll continue to fight for our energy sector, to fight for an investment, to fight for jobs, to fight for more pipelines, and to fight to continue to develop our natural resources in a responsible manner for the benefit of all Canadians. Albertans can be assured that our government will continue to stand up for the energy sector. But for now, let's celebrate this milestone and let's get to work. We've got a pipeline to build. Thank you.
And now it's over to you. We have a bit of time for some question and answer. Both the ministers are available, as myself, as well as His Worship and Mr. Madigan here, if the questions are appropriate. So what? Sorry?
I was just going to say, if you could direct your question, we may be challenged a bit here with sound, so if you have someone specific you want to ask a question to, just make sure that's clear. Thanks.
Ali's going to help me moderate, and
I am.
we'll get started.
Go ahead. Yeah.
What determines, I guess, the days and weeks when this spread 2 gets underway, and how will the construction sort of unfold in terms of how much, what section are you doing at a time, and when does it begin on the BC side?
Good question, and that's the ongoing challenge we have is when we're able to start work on a given spread, we will start work, season allowing. So at this stage, spread 1, we commenced work and mobilization a couple of weeks ago, and we turned Tyler loose to get the work going on spread 1. Just recently, we were provided the land approval from the Canada Energy Regulator for spread 2. That occurred about 2 weeks ago. So we're starting to mobilize crews for spread 2. We are entering winter, So I would have rather have started spread 2 back in August or September. We'll get started likely in early January doing some work on spread 2. We're getting the lands released to us on spreads 3 and 4 as we speak. I still need permits out of British Columbia for certain things, so we're working on all of the individual pieces. My prediction is by next spring, we'll certainly be working in British Columbia, in spreads 3 and 4 in the North Thompson. We'll likely have some work going on in Kamloops by that time as well, if not sooner. I expect then our work in spreads 5 over the Coquihalla into the Fraser Valley, we won't be going there until late summer next fall, based on season and based on approvals and permits. So scheduling now is a day-to-day activity. As approvals and permits are received, we notify the crews, we set them up for start, and I would envision by next spring and summer we'll have a clear line of sight to exactly how much work we're doing everywhere. I will remind you of one other thing that I didn't touch on earlier. Remember, we have been working in Burnaby for about a year and a half. We had a stoppage period while we had to go back and get our certificate and approval, but we have been working in the water at our Westridge facility for a good bit of time now, and we have been working at our Burnaby terminal for a good bit of time. So work is commenced at the other end as well. This is spread 1. This is the western edge of spread 1. I think Tyler's expecting to put pipe in the ground here in spread 1 before Christmas.
Hang on, I think Kelly was next.
In terms of timing, you gave us the months, but can you be more precise when you're expecting completion, and has there been any change to the cost estimate?
It's a 30 to 36 month build. We're starting here today. As I said, I can't predict exactly when we're going to start everywhere else, and it gets very seasonally dependent. I can't be working on the Coquihalla in the middle of winter. So as permits come in, the schedule will continue to be refined and adjusted. We're expecting, if everything goes according to plan, and nothing has for 10 years, I might add, but if everything goes according to the plan that I have in my mind now, we'll be finished in mid to third quarter of 2022. To the cost question, it didn't take very long for that to come up. We're continuing to look at the costs in light of a couple of factors. Firstly, that I don't know what the firm's schedule is for start and stop on all of the spreads. Until I have schedule, I don't really have a firm idea of cost. So we're working on that. As certainty establishes itself over the coming months, we'll have much more to say. What I can say right now is we know we've started on spread 1. We know the good folks at SA Energy have commenced on spread 1. The cost of spread 1 is fairly understood by us to be about $300 million. But again, that's only about one small piece of the whole project. We'll have more to say on cost in the coming days.
Jana?
No. Seven. The final spread is spread 7, and that goes from Langley to Burnaby. It's obviously a highly urban spread. It's more of an industrial project than what is kind of traditional prairie pipelining that you see here. One of the magnificent things to reflect on with Trans Mountain that was built originally back in 1951 and 1952, put in service in 1953, is it went from Edmonton to Burnaby, over the Coquihalla, over the Rocky Mountains, through the North Thompson, through UNESCO World Heritage Site, Jasper National Park. And it is one of the most challenging projects to engineer, to design, and execute on because we have everything from prairie construction to highly urban to high mountainous. So a credit to the people back in 1952 and 53 that built this asset, and now we're looking to duplicate that.
Go ahead.
Well, no timeline on that just yet. I mean, right now the most important thing I think is listening to Ian's timeline on the construction of this, and that's why this is such an important day. I mean, it is such an important day for the energy sector of this country. You know, there have been I know naysayers, and there's no better way to put that to rest than to say, look around you. This is being built. Well, I'll leave that to other ministers to discuss that. I mean, right now, my job is, being here today is to support Ian and the team and a tremendous job that they've already started to do.
Go ahead.
In the last few years, we've seen some physical acquisitions in building pipelines in Dakota. What is in place to avoid this happening?
You mean here in this country? Well, we're working with indigenous communities. We're proceeding, but we've done a great deal to make sure that we consult extensively and that we consult properly. And we have said from the get-go that the way to get things done is to do them the right way. And so we're trying to hit every mark that we can to make sure that we proceed with this project. That's our intent.
And Ian might want to add to that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that, Ian?
All I would add to that is that a project of this type, we've learned over the last decade, is going to create views and opinions and emotions and actions of supporters and opposers. And we are very welcoming to all expressions of view and the freedom to express those views. We encourage everybody to please do it safely, please do it responsibly. I've gone into many situations where I've faced fairly significant opposition with some very stern views about what we do, what I do, what our company does. And we face those conversations, and we've looked for those solutions, if we can, to try and address specific concerns, specific issues. We know in the province of British Columbia and the west coast off Vancouver, we know how important the marine environment is there. We have been tremendously active in that area to understand the concerns and make significant contributions to recovery programs and mammal response programs and marine safety and the like. So we've listened very hard. There always will be voices of opposition. We know that. And as long as that's done peacefully and law-abiding way, we'll both be able to continue our work.
Ellen?
And just on that point, the protests, is that something that can slow down the project in a major way that you're factoring into your timeline?
Our scheduling would have a modest inclusion for direct opposition that may present itself as at a work site. We see it from time to time in Burnaby where protest activity might slow down access into the site, so we account for that. We do have a standing injunction in British Columbia that we're prepared to execute against with authorities should activity prevent us from working in a material way. So like I say, we have modest plans in place to account for that, and we hope that people, undertake their activities in, as I said, a law-abiding and civil way.
Maybe one last question?
Talk about Alberta, I think there's some sentiment online that the federal government is somehow disingenuous about its intention to build a pipeline, despite the fact that they own it and we hit these milestones like the one today. What would you say to an Albertan that still feels that way, that still feels like Alberta, that Ottawa somehow isn't intent on completing this?
Well, I would say to Albertans is look at what we're doing here today. We have the minister is out here today to celebrate this milestone. It's moving forward. You heard Mr. Anderson talk about the construction schedule over the next 3 years. I would say take a good solid look at the work that's being done right now, and I think we're looking forward to getting this pipeline built and in service in 2022.
Minister Savage, does that mean the Premier doesn't need an ironclad guarantee from the federal government on completing the pipeline anymore?
Look, right now we produce more oil in the province than we have the capacity to move by either rail or pipeline with the various pipeline delays, and so we're under curtailment. We've had the price differential blowout over time. We need this pipeline to be in place as new production comes along. We can't have it delayed any further. So we're looking forward to the construction schedule, as Mr. Anderson pointed out. We're looking forward to getting this thing built.
Everybody's got to be a little bit chilly, like me. It's a great Alberta day. I'd like to thank you for coming and showing your interest. If there's one thing I've learned over the last months and years is this has become an increasingly important project. It has lots of people's eyes and attention. We're determined to build it right with the partnership of our contractors like SA Energy, and we're looking forward to its completion. I'd like to thank the two ministers who have joined us here today and traveled far to be with us, His Worship Rod and Dawn, as well as the representatives from the Indigenous communities. It's been a long journey to get to here. It's a big day. It's time to pause and reflect, and we'll get back to work tomorrow, Tyler. Thanks.